that little voice, doesn't it?
I know.
Do you remember that?
The rotten way to introduce someone.
No, it was lovely. But we won't say the year. Do you remember that?
Oh, I do, vividly, and it was a wonderful, wonderful experience. I thought I'd never work again after that.
Did they rehearse you to talk like that?
No, unfortunately, it really was the way I spoke.
Well, you do speak a little bit like that still. You haven't gained.
You really think so, huh?
Well, no, but you haven't gained an American accent, notwithstanding the fact that you've worked in Hollywood for so long.
Yes.
I remember hearing you first, I think, and I was old enough to hear that as well, but I remember hearing you first on Educating Archie.
Yes.
Do you remember that?
Yes, that came right after that.
Which launched so many people, like Max Bygrave, Johnny Hancock.
And Eric Sykes.
And everybody thought you were Archie Andrews' sister, right?
They did, yes.
Little Julie Andrews.
Yeah, the dummy sister, right.
You were very young when you started, even earlier, 10 about when you started singing. I mean, did you miss out on schooling?
Yes, I did. When I really started working hard, which was about 12 years old, then I traveled so much, and it seemed a good idea that I, rather than try to fit into various schools, because I was only ever in one place for about a week, so I did have a governess that traveled with me, and she put up with a lot of flack and problems, but she was a wonderful lady.
You didn't model the governess from The Sound of Music on her, did you?
No, she was a lovely, lovely, older, retired lady, and she was very strict, and I really do owe any education I ever had to her.
Did you feel you were missing out when you were a child star, when you looked at other kids?
No, not then. I didn't feel it. I mean, my God, in those days I was being spoiled and having a wonderful time and, being special and all that kind of thing.
Yes. You didn't feel, in retrospect, gosh, I was exploited. I wish I'd had a normal. Looking back in it now.
I think I missed school friends and sort of a peer group and things like that.
I mean,
there were some things looking back, but I learned so much as well. So it was an odd education, touring as much as I did.
Did it make you a lonely child? Did it turn you back on yourself, make you interested?
I had 3 brothers, I think one of whom sitting in the audience this evening somewhere.
See, even your brother got a round of applause there.
And they kept me fairly busy, and I did have a lot of friends at home. So.
Wasn't it Hattie Jakes that was instrumental in you getting the first place?
Yes. I was, she was in the Educating Archie series.
Yes, it was.
And then I was performing in Cinderella at the Palladium in pantomime. And the lady that was directing The Boyfriend on Broadway was looking for somebody to play the lead. And Hattie Jakes very sweetly said, why don't you go and see young Julie Andrews at the Palladium? She might be right. And
that must have been frightening, being plunged across to Broadway, very young.
Yes, I thought that I would be desperately homesick. In fact, I was very homesick. But my father kind of said, look, it could last 3 weeks. You could be home very quickly. Go and open up your head. It'll do you good.
Yeah, and then, of course, you got taken up for the part of Eliza Doolittle in My Fair Lady, which was an enormous success. Did the director try and do a Henry Higgins on you?
Yes, he did. When I first got over there, I was just terrible and very out of my depth, very green, and I didn't know what the hell was going on. And I had a feeling that if only somebody would work with me, I could do it. But only I knew that, and I don't think anybody else did. And Moss Hart, our director, I should be forever grateful to him. He suggested that the company disappear for 48 hours and that he and I just work together. And he did, he showed me how to be Eliza. He bullied and he pleaded and he cajoled and he bossed me about. And after 48 hours, he'd really shaped me into Eliza Doolittle.
But what was he teaching you? He was teaching you...
Well, everything. How to be feisty for the Cockney lady and how to be winning. Just in general.
The Cockney accent, had you any trouble with that?
No, that wasn't so bad. But at the end of this incredible 48 hours, which was a little bit like going to the dentist, because you know it's going to be better after you've had the tooth pulled, but it's terrible while you're on your way there. Yeah. At the end of the 48 hours, he went home to his wife and she said, well, how was she? And he said, oh, she's much better here. He said she has that terrible British strength that makes you wonder why they lost India. So...
And what about Rex Harrison? He was such a luminous figure.
I would find myself just watching him some nights. He was just so marvelous.
But were you nervous of him?
Yes, very. To start with. I was just in awe of him. But he was very generous, and I learned so much.
Yeah. And then you did Camelot and all those kinds of things. Did you get a crush on your leading man?
All of them, just like Jane.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. You didn't run off with any of them, though?
No, I didn't. No, they never asked, actually. And Richard was rather busy with other ladies, I think, at the time, so
yes.
I never got a chance.
Very imposing. And then you went on from that to do The Sound of Music, well, before that, Mary Poppins.
Right.
And then you got the best, you won the Oscar for Mary Poppins.
Yes.
And nearly did it again with The Sound of Music, didn't you? Yeah.
Well, it was a wonderful time.
Well, let us refresh our memory with a little burst of The Sound of Music.
All right.
All right.
Crabwise towards me, and I walked from one end of the field to the other to meet it, and we would meet in the middle, and then when he had finished the take, he would circle around me and go right back to his point, and I'd rush back to mine, and we'd do it all over again just to be sure we had it. This went on about 10, 15 times, and every time the helicopter circled around me, the downdraft from the jet of the helicopter just leveled me flat in the field. And so I kept being just knocked out, and I got so mad at it. It's you're trying to stand up against this terrible draft.
Looking at it again, it brings back, as you say, all sorts of memories. You seem to be looking at the wrong camera all the time.
Explain that.
Looking past, you were singing there, the camera was here and you were singing past there.
Aha, maybe I was looking out for the helicopter.
That was it, yeah. Oh,
yes.
Yeah. Doing all those, you were very goody-goody at that stage, weren't you? I mean, it was, anytime we want a real goody-goody for a movie, we go straight to Julie Andrews.
Yes.
For Mary Poppins and The Sound of Music. Did that really get in your nerves after a while?
Well, I have to tell you, I don't sort of knock the image because it did give so many people so much pleasure. And I managed to squeeze in a little film in the middle of it called The Americanization of Emily,
yes.
which was kind of a bit
yes.
bawdy and raunchy, and I loved that.
Carrying on with James Garner, right?
That's right.
Never quite the same again, was it?
No, I never was, that's for sure.
You kind of exercised the image, though, with films with Blake Edwards, your husband, didn't you?
Well, I think the thing is about image is that you're remembered for the films that are best known, and certainly Sound of Music and Mary Poppins were such huge successes that I think people are apt to forget that was a role and not the person. And so I guess that's how it happened.
You blew that out the window, though, when you went topless for S.O.B.,
yes,
didn't you?
Yes.
How did you feel about that?
Well, Blake wrote the screenplay about 10 years before it got produced, so I had about 10 years to think about it. So by the time it came around...
ready.
Yes. So it was fine.
Yeah. Well, it was fun, was it?
Oh, yes. The whole film was. It was wonderful.
Yes, but taking your clothes off for a camera, that must be a bit...
Well, it depends on whether it's chilly or not.
I think the police here have just heard about it. Now, this new one that you're making, Duet for One, we've had Francis de la Tour, who did it for television, and we've had Nigel Kennedy in, who's playing the fiddle, which you are pretending to play.
That's right, yes.
He said you weren't making too good a fist of it.
He did?
He did. He said your little pinky was sticking out.
Ah, well, listen, I mean, he's had years and years, and I only had about 4 or 5 weeks, but it's not sticking out anymore, I can assure you.
No.
No.
Can you actually play the fiddle now?
I can do a fair job of it now, yes, I'm very proud to say that. I made my debut last week at the Albert Hall in front of the entire Symphonia Orchestra, and that takes a bit of guts, I can tell you, because here I was sawing away and trying to look like I'd been playing it for 10 years.
Oh, that's really
and
difficult to get the old fingering right.
The real gentlemen in the orchestra, the violinists, were very supportive and very dear. And I got a thumbs up from them, so I guess I was all right.
Now, in this film, you're playing somebody who suffers from multiple sclerosis. Did you have to do a lot of research for that?
I did quite a lot, yes. I consulted with people who knew all about it, and I went to a wonderful clinic for MS in Bromley and talked to all the people there, and they were very helpful.
It's a very tough film to do, of course, because it tends to be the two-hander most of the time. Lot to remember.
Lot to remember, lot to do, and it's very dramatic and very sad. And it's a wonderful thing to be doing, I must say.
You've just finished something with Jack Lemmon, which we haven't seen either.
Yes,
is that a serious movie too?
Well, it's a comedy, and it was directed by Blake, and Jack is just wonderful in it. It doesn't have a title yet, so I can't tell you very much about it. But I'm hoping that by the end of the year it will be released.
Yeah, so you're moving into more serious things then?
I suppose you could say that. I think it's just, I'm very fortunate that these things have come my way, and I'm very grateful for that.
I've always wanted to ask you how you felt on the night that you got the Oscar for Mary Poppins, having been passed over for the part of Eliza Doolittle in the movie For My Fair Lady. Did you really feel like, as it were, giving two fingers to everybody?
No.
To Jack Warner in particular?
No. I don't think you think like that. In fact...
Oh, come on, you must have said, yeah, that's it.
Well, you might have, Terry.
No,
But
come on.
No, truly.
Yeah.
No.
So, do you miss England at all? I mean, I know you seem to spend your time mostly out of Switzerland. You're back in Malibu now. Most of your family is still here?
Yes, my dad's here, and a lot of family, all my brothers and things like that. I managed to sneak into the country about 3 or 4 times a year and visit people. And, of course, the lovely thing is that they can come and see me a lot, too.
Yeah, do you intend to go on working? I mean...
Oh, I hope so,
What
yes.
would you like to do next? What's
Well, I
really
think
at the
after
back of your
something
mind?
as deep and sad as this one, perhaps a wonderful musical would be a nice
Back
thing.
to the old musicals.
Oh, I'd love it, but they cost so much, and they're so hard to get off the ground these days.
Yeah. Well, it's nice to see you, Julie. Thank
Lovely
you
to
for
see
joining
you,
us.
Terry.
Good luck with your work.
Thank you.
Good luck.